In this episode of the bonus round brought to you by Hyundai, we're joined by Garnet Lee of Shack News, Andrea Renee from The Escapist, and Alex Albrecht. This week, we asked the question, does E3 still matter? With a 24-hour video game news cycle and companies controlling their messaging, do we still need the biggest gaming event on the planet? Find out if E3 is last gen in this week's bonus round. We're back here on the bonus round and only one day away from Spike and GT's exclusive coverage as the official show broadcaster of E3. But before we get to E3 tomorrow, today we thought we'd ask, does E3 even matter anymore? Publishers are pulling out their questions about the viability of the show. So to answer that question, I've got Garnet, Andrea, and Alex here. So let's kick this off. Andrea, with you. I've been to every E3. I think there's been 19 of them so far. But this year, we see publishers pulling out. 2K not there. Namco doesn't have a booth. Lots of questions about, the gaming industry. Is it represented at E3? Or, things like mobile apps and things like that are not really there in a big way. Andrea, does E3 still matter to you?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely matters because I think you can't take away the kind of magic quality that E3 has with the viewers, with our audience, with the people that we all speak to on our respective shows, is that those people still love the idea and the concept of what E3 represents. I think it's easy for us and people in our industry to sit back and be cynical about it and be like, oh, well, Nintendo's not doing their thing and these people aren't going to be there and, all of that. But I think that is so irrelevant when you look at the general consensus about what the way people feel about E3 at large.
Oh, I mean, as a gamer, I love it. It's great that it celebrates our industry, puts it on a national stage. I mean, I get so excited about E3 every year. But there are questions, I think, about, to me at least, like the show floor. Like as a journalist, like we do all our live coverage starting tomorrow and Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, we're not even really on the air because, the news is out there in the day and age of the internet and things like that. So on Thursday at 10 o'clock in the morning, what's there really to do? And there's, you've probably seen a lot of games. Play more games, but the public's not there, and that's one thing that I always feel like is always a question, like Comic-Con, PAX, the public gets to play games. E3 is sort of trade only. Does E3 need to evolve the model of this show, Garnet?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's needed to evolve for a while. I mean, that was why we had the Santa Monica experience,
Yep.
right? Which, by the way, had a few pieces of it that worked
Yep.
for us as working press that could easily be transferred into a better show that still is a event. And we need the event. As an industry, we need the event. That's always been the best argument. So look, we get a pass this year. This year, you got the heavyweight bout. You've got PS4, you got Xbox One, the excitement is there. But what happens next year? Right? What happens next year when we don't have hardware reveals? Because really, in all likelihood, there's not going to be any hardware to reveal next year.
Well, and this year we had, I mean, I guess you sort of have hardware reveals at E3, but,
for many people, it still will be.
Right, but for Microsoft and so on, I mean, they did separate events in advance, and in some years, PS3 was unveiled at E3 for the first time ever announced. So there's been this tendency to companies to say, hey, we'll do our own events. Why do we need to do things at E3?
Well, but
There's too much noise.
But they are still unveiled. I think what it is that they just wanted to avoid. I mean, the biggest issue that E3 has is it's just noise. You know what I mean? Like you could literally spend a week reading through everybody's press conference and still not kind of know everything that was announced in 10 hours. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I think that's why you saw Sony and Microsoft come out, because they didn't come out and do their full E3 presentation, right? They just came out and said, we're just going to get some of this crap out of the way because we want E3 to be just about the games. And you're right. We as an industry need an event. Comic-Con is not about comics anymore. It's about movies and TV shows. That's it. Games are there, but they're
PAX,
there.
though, and things like that.
And PAX is there, but PAX is, I mean, it's starting to be bigger, but PAX is really a pen and paper board game kind of event, which is great.
It's a community thing too. I think that the thing that
And
E3
indie
has that
games.
PAX doesn't is that people at large that wouldn't maybe call themselves a gamer know about E3.
Absolutely.
They're like, oh, that's that big video game convention. I feel like even some gamers that I know aren't really familiar with what PAX is or what you do at PAX, and I think that's what the publishers really bring with them to E3 is that knowledge that this really does, as you said, put them on this national stage where everybody kind of puts the spotlight on them for what is happening in this industry.
And I think there is a sort of middle ground that they could find, right? Where it's you still have the sort of behind closed doors stuff. I mean, like, even if you go as press, most of the stuff that you really want to see isn't shown to isn't on the floor. It's the behind the closed doors thing. It's the, I'm getting there at 5, I'm going to get my little lemon bar, and then I'm going to go sit and watch a presentation with 2 other people. You know what I mean? And I think that there might be a happy medium where you can invite the public in to get their hands on the games, to stand in line
Absolutely.
and wait for all that stuff, and see these games,
I'll
in
take
action.
it a step further, though. I think that every one of those presentations you see behind closed door is camera ready.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they are planned. Everybody's media trained. There's no reason for this, like, oh, we have this dark secret that we're going to show you back here, and then only a select few people are going to get to tell you about it. And that's why people don't trust the media anymore.
Yeah.
That's why
Right.
they don't trust us, because they're like, well, why don't I get to see that? If it looks so great, why don't you just show it to me? Because, by the way, it's 2013, and it's pretty easy to show me this stuff.
Right, yeah,
It really is not that hard for you to...
You can give it to me in high
give it to
def.
me in any way you want to.
Yeah.
So it's not just opening the doors of the convention center, it's opening the doors virtually to the show, and they should be doing that, and they should have done it a long time ago, and whoever gets active with it first is going to win over a lot of people.
Well,
It's
but
like
also-
Nintendo Direct. It's why Nintendo Direct resonates.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
and even Nintendo's doing this really cool thing where they're letting people play, or they're saying play these E3 demos at Best Buy.
That's really smart.
I think
And
it's
North
awesome.
that's
Canada.
really
Like, if I
smart,
get to
yeah.
go and play, a new Zelda, for instance, or something like at Best Buy, I mean, people are going to be lined up at
And,
those stores. to
and
do
maybe,
that.
maybe that's one of the 360 things. We remember Microsoft has done deals where they have had demos during E3 week that were available on Xbox Live,
Yeah.
and that's smart.
Super.
But it's not just like, gamers would be way more excited than just getting to play a game or two to really feel like they had an open
window
door,
in, yeah.
an open window to come look at the show.
Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk more about the future of E3 from here at WP24 at LA Live.